Hey, what's up everyone? Nick here, and welcome to a fun video that I decided to make. If you recall, a couple weeks ago I released this video where I showed you guys that I got the last trophy in the remaster of Crash Bandicoot, and you guys really seemed to enjoy that, even though it wasn't part of a specific walkthrough or anything. You guys really seemed to react positively to just watching me get some trophies, and so I have pretty much the same idea in this video here, except this is for the critically acclaimed game, The Last of Us. This is a fantastic game. During this video, I'll talk a bit about, the game itself and why this trophy means so much to me. But as you can tell from the title and the thumbnail of this video, finally, I have achieved the Platinum Trophy for this game. And so I'll talk about what led up to getting the Platinum Trophy, but what you need to know right off the bat is that the last couple trophies I needed required me to play through the multiplayer. So what I did was I recorded the last two online games I played that led up to the multiplayer. And so first let me kind of talk about the multiplayer itself, because this game, it is a little bit different. It's not your standard team deathmatch or anything like that. Like, granted, the game modes are pretty similar. There's a mode called Survivors, which is basically like team deathmatch. There's another mode, which I'm playing right now, called Supply Raid, which is even more like team deathmatch, but it's a little hard to explain. In this mode here, you can see on the left-hand side of the screen that each team has 20 lives, and every time one of your teammates dies, you lose your whole team loses a life, and the last team alive wins. But you'll see, like right here, I just killed someone, and then I died, and you'll see that I'm gonna respawn in 6 seconds. On the other mode, on Survivors, it goes by rounds. So in round 1, once you die, you're out for the round, and the first team to eliminate the other team wins the round, and then I think it's like the best 4 out of 7 rounds wins. And then there's another mode called Interrogation, which I hardly ever played because I didn't really care for it. But yeah, so that's kind of how this works. Basically, if you're looking at the screen, let's just go through this. In the lower right corner, you have my gun, my ammo, and my health bar. In the top left corner, you have the radar and the clock. You also have the team's total cumulative lives remaining. And then in the bottom left corner, that's the most important thing. So how the multiplayer works, it's very interesting. In the multiplayer, in the game itself, in The Last of Us, the game, there are 2 different teams, basically. There's the Hunters and there's the Fireflies, and they're typically at odds with each other. And so they brought that into the multiplayer, and yeah, so they brought that into the multiplayer, and basically, when you first start the multiplayer, you're told to pick a side, either the Hunters or the Fireflies. And your goal is you have to build up a team, a clan of members, and you have to keep that group alive for 12 weeks. Now, the way the game works is every single match that you play, every single online match, is the equivalent of 1 day. So you have to play a total of 84 games to get 1 trophy. So there's 2 different trophies here. There's one for completing the Hunters campaign, and there's another for beating the Firefly campaign. So you have to play 84 games as each faction. And so as you can imagine, it takes quite a bit of time, quite a bit of grinding. And again, it's kind of hard to explain, so it might not even make sense the way I'm explaining it. But just know that it's kind of a process to get those trophies. And so basically, in the lower left-hand corner, the way it works is if you play a match and if you quit or if you do very poorly, you're not going to earn a lot of resources. And the resources are the blue things that you see in the very bottom left corner. It says I have 10 out of 38 currently. The more resources you collect, the bigger your group of survivors can grow. If you start to do very poorly and if you start to not earn resources, your group will start dying. And if your group dies, if there is ever a moment where your group loses all of its members throughout the whole 84-day journey, you have to start over. Your group is dead, you lose, and you have to start all the way from the beginning. So you can imagine if you've played like 70 games, you're going to be in week 6, week 7, and if you start to do poorly and you start not collecting resources, and if your group dies, you're going to have to start from the very beginning just to get that trophy. So it's quite a big process. Now, granted, there are a couple things you can do. There's a couple things like there's this little trick you can use where you quit a game and then play a game and quit a game and play a game, and it turns out when you quit a game, it actually advances your journey along by 1 day, but it also doesn't give you any resources, so a lot of your group members will die. So you can't just quit 84 games in a row. You do have to play occasionally to build up a certain amount of resources to keep your group alive. There's also another thing, but so basically, right now, what'll happen is throughout the 84 game journey, you get hit with these. There's 5 of them. You get hit with these missions, and basically, if you fail the mission, you lose your entire group. They're called 100% population risk missions. And I'm on my 5th and last one right now. I've already completed it, actually. So luckily, the mission was to get 7 executions, and before going into this game I had 6 out of 7, and I just got my 7th one at the beginning of this match. So now I no longer have to worry about failing the mission. All I have to do is make sure I get enough resources to keep my group alive. So you can see right now I have 30 out of 38. That's fine. In all honesty, it's really not hard to keep your group alive. Basically, if you just play through a game, you'll have enough resources to at least keep a couple members of your group alive. But that number will keep going up. So like right now, my group is a total of like 30 people. So I have to earn 38 resources. If my group goes up, then I have to earn more resources. If my group goes down, then I have to earn less resources. And I think the thing that's most confusing about it is when I say group of people, you might be thinking that I mean real people. Like I actually have to befriend real people and make a group. It's all fictional. It's all just computer people that join your group. So like I said, it's a bit hard to explain. But once you start playing it, it's really easy to follow. But so let me tell you a bit about what led up to getting this Platinum Trophy. So I got my PlayStation 4, I want to say in 2015 is when I got it. I specifically bought a PlayStation 4 for The Last of Us. The Last of Us originally came... So The Last of Us is made by Naughty Dog, which is one of the best game developers on the planet. They made Crash Bandicoot, they made the Uncharted series, which you know, the Uncharted games are my favorite games of all time. So, they made The Last of Us, and The Last of Us originally came out on the PlayStation 3. I did not have a PlayStation 3, and so I was going to buy one. But then, the PlayStation 4 came out, and very quickly they said they were going to make a remastered version for the PlayStation 4, so I said, you know what, I'm going to get a PS4. Because I really want this game. So this game alone was the sole reason I bought a PlayStation 4. Now, once it came out, I started going after all the trophies, and I got most of them. There aren't that many trophies for this game, believe it or not, but I got all of the campaign-related trophies pretty easily. You know, it involved a number of playthroughs. I had to beat the game on the hardest difficulty, all sorts of stuff like that. But then, what ended up happening is I got to a total trophy completion rate of 70%, and all of the other trophies were multiplayer related. And you guys know me, I'm not big on multiplayer, so I didn't really plan on getting the trophies. But, you know, there was a time where I sat down and I said, alright, I'm gonna try to get these trophies. But then, you know, you can imagine... explaining how the multiplayer in this game works was a bit confusing, so you can imagine me going in as a player, I just didn't fully understand how to get the trophies. Like, when I read online that it took 84 days to get one trophy, I thought, oh no, that's ridiculous, I'm not going to spend 84 days for one trophy. I didn't realize at the time that one day was just one in-game multiplayer match, So basically, I ended up giving up. I just settled for the 70% completion rate. But it really bothered me, because The Last of Us was like the sole reason I bought the PlayStation 4, and the fact that it's one of the few games I own that I don't have the Platinum for was starting to get to me. So eventually, it was like 2 weeks ago, now that I'm getting more into trophy hunting again. It was 2 weeks ago, my friend was over, we were just playing games together. And I was looking through my trophy list, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go for the Platinum. So I purchased a 1-month PlayStation Plus membership, went to work, and eventually got it. I just basically played a little bit every day, and It's kind of hard, believe it or not. The multiplayer in this game is not easy. It's not like Call of Duty or Halo where you just run out guns blazing.
Around here.
So right there, that screen that you just saw, that was the end of the match screen. You could see that all of the resources I collected had allowed my group to survive. And I was currently in week 12, day 6. So that makes this game here the very last game. As long as I get through this game with enough resources to keep my group alive, I will get the Platinum Trophy, which, as you can imagine, because you're watching this video, I will end up doing just that. And yeah, I was pretty proud of this Platinum because it did take quite a bit of effort. Another reason I decided to go for it was because I've been looking for games to make walkthroughs for. And since The Last of Us 2 is coming out either later this year or in early 2019, I wanted to go back and make a walkthrough for this game on grounded difficulty, which is the hardest setting in the game. And so I figured, you know what, before I set off on doing all that, I'll just I'll get the Platinum Trophy for the hell of it. So yeah, it took quite a bit of grinding, but like I said, I just played a couple matches every day, and what I did was for the first trophy, completing the Firefly journey, I actually did that legitimately. I played all 84 games, you know, from start to finish. But then for this one here, I did use the quitting method. So basically what I did was I would play, and then I would quit 2 games in a row, and then I would play again and quit 2 games in a row. And as long as I played well enough to, you know, during the games that I played to keep up my survivor count, I was fine. And it ended up really speeding up the process, because you can imagine you're only playing like half of the games or even a third of the games if you do it correctly. Now normally I wouldn't have done that, but because I did it legitimately the first time around, I figured I'd earn the chance to just breeze through the second opportunity. But yeah, so one thing you might be wondering was, originally I was going to film this as a Let's Play, so I was going to do my commentary live while playing the game, but I was really nervous because, like I said, if I were to mess up and fail somehow, I would not be able to get the trophy, and it would ruin everything, and I'd have to play from the very beginning, week 1, day 1. So I decided not to do the commentary live just so I could focus on the gameplay, and then I figured I'd go back like I am right now and do the commentary post-production. You know, for future videos, I'll probably try to do the commentary live. It's just for this one in particular, I was a bit nervous. There was a lot riding on, you know, playing this game well. And you can see, you know, as opposed to the last game where I had quite a bit of resources, you can see here I'm pretty much off to a slow start. I have yet to kill an enemy. I have yet to down an enemy. I have 2 out of 41 resources needed. This game I ended up not doing as well, just because I wasn't being as aggressive and my teammates were getting to all of the enemies before I could get to them. So ultimately, what I decided to do, and this is a neat little trick you can do, there are 2 different approaches you can take. So you do get more resources for killing enemies, but you also get resources for marking enemies and for crafting resources. And so usually during a game, when I'm not doing as well, that's the alternate path I'll take. Instead of trying to kill a bunch of enemies, I'll just start to try to craft a bunch of resources and mark a lot of enemies and things like that, and just do kind of, you know, just do different things I can do to earn the required amount of resources. But yeah, you can see I'm not very good. Honestly, I'm not very good at this multiplayer. I had a pretty good game the first game, but the game you're watching right now, this is kind of my average game. I'm usually not very good. And like I said, it's kind of hard. You know, it's not like Call of Duty or Halo where you can just run out guns blazing. You start with a very limited amount of ammo. You really have to conserve ammunition. You have to move slowly because if you sprint, you'll come up on your enemy's radar. This game really emphasizes teamwork. It's highly advantageous to stick with your team the whole time. It really does make things easier.
Thanks.
So yeah, I'm not very good at this multiplayer. Luckily, it's very fun. So much so to the point where, you know, during my time of getting these 2 trophies, I never really felt like it was a chore. Like, I was legitimately having fun working towards these trophies. And I think that really says something about the game, because even though I'm not very good at the multiplayer, I still had fun with it. And I think that just says a lot when you can have fun doing something that you're not good at. I think that really marks a good game. which doesn't come as much of a surprise. The Last of Us is considered one of the best games of all time. It really is something special, and I'm really looking forward to the sequel. But yeah, so you can see this game is moving a bit slower than the previous game. But as always, guys, let me know what you think of these types of videos in the comments. Was this fun to watch? Was it not as fun to watch? Trust me, my feelings don't get hurt. I always value feedback, even if it's negative feedback. Like, if a lot of you guys end up saying that this video was boring and pointless, you know, I'll be a little upset that you guys didn't like it, but at the end of the day, that just tells me what content you guys enjoy and what content you could do without. So any and all feedback always helps. As long, you know, that's the thing. That's the thing I think people don't realize, or maybe they do realize and they just like being trolls. But negative feedback is a good thing, as long as it's given respectfully, you know. So for example, you know, I'll pose a hypothetical here. Like on my Evil Within 2 walkthrough, if someone were to leave a comment saying, hey, you know, your strategy here was all right, but you could actually do it this way, and it's a lot better, you know, I would appreciate that feedback because, one, it teaches me something. It tells me, hey, you know, there's a strategy you didn't know about. Two, it helps other gamers because then other gamers reading the comments will see that and say, oh, cool, I can follow this approach instead. But also there's negative feedback that will say things like, hey, Nick, your audio levels were a bit off in this video. You should try fixing those. You know, obviously I hope that my audio levels are always good, but by telling me that my audio levels are off, you know, that tells me that I need to improve, and that's always very helpful. Whereas someone recently left a comment on one of my Evil Within videos, Evil Within 2, and I really didn't like this. And usually what I do on my channel is I just don't reply back to trolls. I'll do 1 or 2 replies and then that's it, because trolls feed off of that negative conversation. And I don't like to do that. I don't like to support the trolls. So anyway, someone left a comment on one of my videos saying, hey, Jigsaw's walkthrough was better. And I don't know who he was talking about, so I looked it up, and there's this other channel called Jigsaw TV, which also did an Evil Within 2 walkthrough. And, you know, I don't appreciate that type of comment because, you know, maybe he did do it better. You know, I don't know. I didn't watch his walkthrough, but he certainly could have done it better than I did. But that type of comment does nothing to teach me. It does nothing to teach me how I could have done better in my walkthroughs. So I just left a comment saying, oh, thanks for sharing. And then the troll left another comment saying, like, yeah, no problem, you should definitely take some notes or something like that. And it was really pissing me off because I always value negative feedback, but only if it has something to teach me. In which case, this guy's comments just were simply put there to be mean. There's no other way around it. I don't even know how I got into this topic, honestly. But here we are. That seems to happen a lot in my commentary. But yeah, so you can see in the lower left-hand corner, I only have 26 resources out of 41, which is enough. Like, I have enough to keep my group alive, so at this point I'm not really worried. But you'll notice still I'm not really killing a lot. So instead I'm doing other things. I'm crafting a lot of items. I'm marking a lot of enemies. Things like that. Things like that will always improve your resources. Slowly, sure, but still, it all helps in the long run. But yeah, so when I started to go for these trophies, there were a couple other ones too that were all multiplayer related. Luckily, they weren't required for the platinum. They were all DLC related. And another thing, luckily there, all of the DLC maps were included for free, so I didn't have to purchase anything. And all of those trophies, they really just come with time. Like, you're bound to get them naturally when going for these 2 trophies. Like, for example, most of the trophies are like, hey, get at least 5 kills on this map, get at least 5 kills on that map, win a game on this map, win a game on that map. And so those are trophies that you don't really have to set out for. It's just they kind of come naturally while getting these trophies. So, so that was fortunate as well. So just by playing through the game slowly but surely, I ended up accumulating all of the other trophies to the point where this trophy here was the last one I needed, and I was able to get it in the end. So you can see we're coming up on the end here. It's getting closer. So we have 2 lives remaining, or sorry, I should say respawns. That's what those actually represent. So you could see we have 4 teammates alive right now, and 2 respawns remaining. So this part here is a little funny. I started playing with this guy because I knew I wasn't gonna kill him. So like I started just moving in a circle around these structures here, trying to delay it as long as possible. But yeah, so you can see now that I'm the only teammate dead, and we have 1 respawn left. So I'm going to be using our team's last respawn. So here we go, I respawn, and now it will say something like sudden death. It should. Yeah, there you go, sudden death. So that means now we have no respawns remaining. So once one of our teammates dies, that's it, that's the end, game over. Luckily you could see I have all the resources I need. The other good thing is that once the game is so right now I have 43 out of 41, which is more than I need, so that means my group is going to grow. But also, just for completing the game, you also get a number of resources. So even if I had like 35 right now, by the time the game was over, I should have enough to be in the clear. And yeah, and that'll basically bring us to the end of the video. So what's going to happen is, I think pretty shortly, I'm going to get killed, and then, so I get killed, and then I was just sitting here waiting for the game to finish, and it took 3 minutes to finish, so you can see here. So here I go, I die, and then there's 3 minutes left in the game, so I'm going to cut to the end of the game here, because you could see my teammates, they ended up surviving down to the very last seconds, and so finally this guy got killed. So we lost, but in the end that's okay. I have all the resources I need, and then you can see as soon as it takes us back to the main menu, you'll see the trophies unlocked. So here we go. There's the Hunter for completing the Hunter campaign, and then finally, after all these years, there's the Platinum Trophy. It can't be for nothing. Really, really happy to finally earn that one. Yeah, it took quite a while, and took quite a bit of effort, a lot of online play, but finally, the Platinum is mine. So here you go. You can see that I survived that final mission. Some of my clan members died, that's okay. There we go, I completed the Hunter campaign. And now, just to wrap up the video, I'll go back to the PlayStation homepage here. So let's return back there, and I'll just show you my trophies very quickly. You can see The Last of Us is now 100% completed. The Platinum Trophy is earned. I have completed all the trophies for all the DLCs, and another game is finally completed. So anyway, guys, again, let me know what you thought of this video in the comments down below. Was it fun? Was it boring? Anything and everything helps. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.